Okay, so today is Tuesday, March 18th. I'm a couple days behind. I'm not gonna put my glasses on today because my face hurts. You can see my face hurts. Here's my truth. Today's episode, I'm sorry, my repentance could also be called my confession. If you've been following the podcast, you'll notice that the last two, episodes 11 and 12, I started by saying I'm tired and confused. I actually believe I called episode 12 episode 13, which is fine. Friday was Pi Day. And this year's Pi Day for me was exciting because I like numbers. I work in accounting, and for those who don't know, I see balance in everything. Everything has to balance. There's, action and there's reaction, and there's two sides to everything, but there's dynamic possibilities in even the smallest thing. And so I look for that. It's how my mind works. But I digress. Oh 03 1425 031425 031425 031425. If someone stupid like me, who holds on to ridiculous things that other people don't pay any attention to, I see meaning. I didn't see it at the time, but I see meaning in Friday going the way Friday went, because Friday morning, I'm sorry, let me back up. Friday morning, I asked my husband for separation. And he has agreed that our marriage to one another ceased along our path. And I'm going to explain that to you right now. I met my husband online in an AOL chat room where we were just kind of looking to find somebody to hook up with. I mean, let's be honest. We can say we were looking for friends, and I did end up meeting friends and making friends, and some people did that. But the primary reason that AOL chat rooms existed was so that people could hook up. That's why the internet is so riddled with pornography, is because we have never, as a society, we have never reconciled sex, because we have used sex as a control mechanism. This is my opinion, but again, I digress. I was looking for a date, and as a gay man in 1999, that's kind of one of two places that you could go, was an AOL chat room with dial-up. I didn't even get to see my husband until our first date, because back then it took so long for a picture to download, it wasn't even worth sending. But we went on that date. That date was delayed from a Sunday to a Thursday because of my drinking. I made this plan. I had this great date set up for Sunday, but I went out and I ran into some friends, and they were like, "Oh, have a couple. And I did. And I woke up. It was a monumental night. So, Mom, if you don't want to hear this, cover your ears. I ran into some old friends. We started doing shots. We got plastered. There was a fountain at the bar. At some point, I fell in the fountain and got wet. They drove me back to my friend Chris's mom's apartment, where we were all apparently supposed to crash. And they left me in the backseat of my car. I woke up in the backseat of my car, soaking wet. And I missed my date with the man who would end up being the love of my life because of drinking. I am a lifelong alcoholic. Well, I'm sorry. Yes, Yes, you're never not an alcoholic. But I didn't do meetings. My father was an alcoholic, and I watched all that stuff fail for him over and over again. I remember going to the meetings for the families with my mom. I think it's called Al-Anon. I remember all this stuff, but I just I always felt like I had a control over it, but then I didn't actually care that it was controlling me. I lived that way because it turns out I think I was numbing pain. Pain I didn't even realize until last year that I could name, but now I can name it. I quit drinking because my husband quit drinking, and when he quit drinking, I realized I couldn't keep liquor in the house, and so I had to figure it out. Now, let me tell you, because I told you before, I like rules that I can tiptoe around, just like this one, because I said, I'm going to make sure that for every day of Lent, I do a podcast. Well, I didn't keep that up, but I'm getting ready to today. Because again, I keep my word. I might have to kind of twist the edges to make it work, but I'm keeping my word. This will be the episode that should have aired on Sunday. And then after this, I will record another one that should have aired on Monday. And then after that, I will record another one that will be today's episode for Lent. And I'm keeping my word to God. And I kept my word to my husband as best I could float around the edges of those rules that we set for one another long before we could get married. Because keep in mind that we were together for 15 years before it was legal for us to get married. And the funny thing about it is, I had a friend when I told her from church that we were getting divorced or separating. She said, I realize I have a bias because I just never thought that gay people would get divorced. She saw brokenness in what happens in straight couples because she went through divorce. But there's brokenness in everybody. There's brokenness in me. But here's the thing, is I've been praying for discernment. I've been praying for healing, but I didn't actually realize I was praying for healing. I was praying for discernment. And I was praying for God's will to be done, whatever that is. So here's how discernment works. About 3 years ago, well, no, I'll take that back. In 2018, my husband almost died from sepsis. And through a long hospitalization, he sobered up. And we, the stress did me in, so I wasn't drinking. I was drinking to numb the pain of almost losing my husband. But when he quit drinking, I saw a new hope, and I didn't need to drink. But we had a problem. I can't speak to his side of it, but when he said, well, I think I'm ready to maybe try a glass of wine, I was gung-ho, and I did. And then we just slid right back down. I've always been a heavy drinker, right? I was a functioning alcoholic every single day. Toward the end, I wasn't functioning very great, and I'll be honest with you. There were days where I had to go and get a drink to get through my workday, and that's where I probably would have either died or been fired had something not intervened. Turned out my company closed. They gave me a year's severance, and all we did was drink because my severance started right before that pandemic. I got laid off in October of 2019, and the pandemic started in March of 2020. I was out of work for a year. That's my brokenness. That's my brokenness. That's my confession. I've been a lifelong drinker who quit. And so the next episode's going to be about my salvation. My salvation from drinking, but really my salvation from a lot of stuff. So you won't have to wait long because I'm doing these 3 back to back. So I'm going to get this one posted, then go record the next one, and then go record the next one, and then I'll be back on target. Happy Tuesday. Go in peace.